So when people are finally getting past the considering and ready to move to Winston-Salem, one of the most common questions and problems that I get is, okay, how do I do this? What's the timeline? How do I even make this work? And I get it. 3 years ago, I moved myself and my two kids from the suburbs of Chicago to Winston-Salem. I understand that overwhelming feeling completely. I've also since then, as a real estate agent, helped dozens and dozens of you move here from all over the country in Canada, come to Winston-Salem. And over that time, I've kind of come up with a great system to make it as low stress as possible. So in this video, I want to go over some things that you should do, but more importantly, some things that you definitely do not want to do when you're moving to Winston-Salem, and in the hopes that this will make it as easy and as low stress as possible. I'm Jeff Valentino. I love helping people buy and sell real estate. If you need help with that, my contact information is below, but let's just get right into it. I want to break this video into two parts. The first part is kind of the getting ready phase, you know, what things you can do before you get here. The second part is going to be some things to do when you're actually here to make that as smooth a move as possible. And like I said, I remember when I was considering that, that was one of the reasons I started making these videos, because there were no resources when I was trying to figure out how to make this happen. So I understand what you're going through. So the first thing that we should do, the first tip I have for you is let's reach out. Hopefully you're going to work with me, but reach out with whoever you're going to work with and schedule a time to meet with them. We do this on telephone. Do they even still, they call them telephones anymore? We'll do this on the phone. We can do it on Zoom, FaceTime, whatever works for you, but we're going to get together and we're going to have a discussion about a few different things. The first thing we're going to do on that FaceTime call, Zoom or phone call, what we're going to do is lay out your team, who's going to be in your corner and exactly how you're going to do this. Just like if you're moving across town or if you're booking a trip to go on vacation somewhere, you have to know, like, okay, here's my resources. I'm going to book through this. I'm going to fly on this. I'm going to stay here, or these are the movers I'm going to contact. We're going to lay out your team for you. And I'll tell you now more than ever, if you're making a move to Winston-Salem from out of state, who you work with is of the utmost importance. So again, you're going to have, hopefully, me as your real estate agent on your team, but you're going to have other team members as well, right? You're going to have a lender, you're going to have an inspector, someone to see if there's termites there, insurance, so on and so forth. And you have ultimate say in all those things. But what we're going to do is we're going to lay out the team on here, and I can give you stories upon stories of times when these things have gone sideways. But needless to say, I have, like I said, some good team members to help you if you need that in place to really make this as smooth as possible. Because what it does is when you know, like, okay, this is who I'm going to talk to about this is who I'm going to talk to about that in of itself just gives a little bit of peace of mind. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay out your team for you. After we have your team set up, we're going to go over the logistics, or just kind of the plan for it itself, right? Do you have to sell your house there to move here? Are you going to do that first and then this? Or are we going to try to do both at the same time? Are you going to get an Airbnb in between? Or do you have to finish a lease? All of those little tiny things that need to go into place to make it a smooth move, right? So we're going to talk about all the logistics. That's going to entail those things I just mentioned. But again, do the kids have to be, in school until a certain time, or do you have to start here before the new school year to register, or whatever the case may be? We're going to lay out all those logistics and work that with the team members to try to get the beginning of a timeline together. So after we have your team and the logistics set, we're really going to dial in on location. And one thing about Winston-Salem is it's not huge, but it is a little bit spread out. But if you compare it to other cities, especially cities that are a little bit bigger, it's much different. A 45-minute radius out in Winston-Salem can have you, halfway to Raleigh. It can have you almost in the mountains. It can have you in the middle of nowhere. It's just really varied, or you can be right in town. So we're going to talk about all those little things to really start dialing in your location preference. We're going to do that in a few different areas. We're going to do, your wants, or your needs, do you need to be within a certain commuting distance, or do you work remote so it doesn't matter? Do you really want to be in a certain school district, or do you want to be closer to this or that? One of mine was is I like shopping at Costco and Trader Joe's. So when I was looking here, one of my criteria was I wanted to be within 20 minutes of Costco or Trader Joe's. And actually, if it's 10 or 15, that was better for me. So that might not matter to you. So we're going to go over all those little things about, your lifestyle and different things to really help narrow down your location. Or, are you going to live in Winston and commute to Greensboro? Or do you want to be in Kernersville because you like going to both cities very often? We're going to talk about and we're going to lay out all those little things, because a big mistake I see people do is they think intuitively it makes sense. They think okay, if it's this price range and this many bedrooms, I want to have a really wide criteria, because they know the market's competitive and not many things, our inventory was a little bit lacking. So they think by leaving a much wider net that will help. But I'll tell you, it's really counterintuitive, but actually the kind of the opposite more applies. If you can really, instead of 7 or 8 different areas, if you can hone it down to 2 or 3, and we laser focus on those areas, it allows us to, 1, move quickly, but 2, really be focused. So we're not looking at a house over here when the house that we really prefer in the area we really love came on over here, and now it's already got an offer on it and we just missed it because we were in a 2nd or 3rd tier area. So by really getting on the same page on these things and condensing this to 2 or 3 main areas that we want to look, of course, we'll still keep an eye on some of the periphery and things like that, but we really want to have our focus on a few core areas. That allows us to move quick and act right when the proper house comes on the market. Next thing to do after we have that call and we set all those things up, we're going to talk about how are you going to do showings? Do you want to do them in person, or are you open to doing virtual? I'll tell you right now, about 50%, maybe even more, people are doing showings virtually now. And some people, I understand if that's too big of a thing and you need to be here in person, then what we do is we plan, this is when I'm coming, I'll block out that time for you or someone else to help me with some showings so we can make sure that you get into houses you want to see. The one thing to keep in mind with that is we're a little bit at the mercy of the market at that time. So, if you're going to be in town for 2 or 3 days, that's put some pressure to find a house in those 2 or 3 days. And with inventory up or down and things like that, it can really just kind of limit. So that's one of the downsides to being here in person, but I understand if that's the way you got to do it, you got to feel comfortable. Not everybody can buy a house without seeing it. Totally get it. But what I will say on virtual showings and why so many more people are comfortable with them is over the last couple of years of doing this, and with the, I don't know how many hundreds of houses I've shown virtually, have really come up with a system. So we're going to do it on FaceTime or Zoom or something like that, and you're going to be there right with me. And I'm going to point out, actually, probably more than if it's in person. I almost want to talk you out of buying the house instead of trying to talk you into it. So what we do on a virtual showing is, once we have the things that we can't change, right? The location and the size or condition of the house, right? Those aren't going to change before we make an offer on it. Once we have those and we know those are right, my main job there is to not let a deal breaker sneak through. If a roof over 10 years old is a deal breaker for you, then we're going to eliminate that. If there's, something with, you hate basements and, this one has a basement with signs of water in it, we're going to eliminate that. I'm trying not to let a deal breaker go through there with you, and encourage you, you'll be asking questions, you'll be with me just virtually. And what I want to tell you about that is I'm going to put you on the dashboard in the car. We're going to drive into the neighborhood. You're going to see what the entrance looks like all the way driving up to the house. I mean, you're going to see what's going on. If the neighbor's yard is overgrown and they have cars parked in the front yard or junk everywhere, I'm going to tell you about that and show it to you. If, especially in Winston-Salem, we see driveways that are really steep or something like that could get slick in the winter, or more importantly, really funnel water down to the house where it has a potential to stay and trap, I'm going to tell you about that. If the house smells, I'm definitely going to tell you about that. My point is I want to give you all the little details that I think that you need, again, to try to keep any deal breakers from sneaking through. So those are things that, all before that you get here that you can do to help make your move easier. Now, when you get here, here's a couple tips and tricks for you once you get to Winston-Salem. First thing is be prepared for the season. If it's June, July, or August, it's hot, it's muggy. I don't have to worry about too much the humid hair because, well, you see, but if you have... So the humidity is real. It affects us in different ways. If you get humid hair or you sweat a lot, or it's going to be really hot out, make sure you have some shorts so you can be comfortable when you're out walking around, because it does get hot. The same thing in the winter. Even in the winter, most days it warms up to in the 50s, sometimes 60s. But if you're coming here in the winter, the mornings can be cold. So bring a jacket, some pants, something like that, so you can just be kind of prepared for the season. In the summer, it's hot. Bring a lot of water. Be prepared to drive around a little bit from place to place. So have a car, especially if we're looking in a couple different areas, but really just kind of be prepared for the time of the year, because Winston-Salem does have all 4 seasons, and it's not going to be an extreme winter, but it's a real winter. But the summer can get really, really hot, so be prepared for that. And the next thing I'll say when you're coming here to Winston-Salem, whether it's just to look at houses or to check the area out, is make a plan to experience the area. Experience Winston-Salem and the surrounding areas. And because I've seen people, they come here, they don't really have a plan. They think, okay, we're gonna see a few houses, now what? It's just natural, you don't know what to do, you get bored, you're in a strange place, you're not really sure, this is not for me, I'm going back to where I came from and not moving here. I've seen that happen, so be prepared to experience Winston-Salem when you get here, and do that in a couple different areas. First, do it for your day-to-day things, right? Where are you gonna go to work? Where are you gonna shop at? Where are the kids gonna go to school at? You know, all your day-to-day activities. Here's the grocery stores. Am I close enough to Target? Or, you know, whatever your day-to-day routines are, think of it like that and experience it through that. You know, drive around during our rush hour, see how it compares to where you came from. But also, make a plan to experience it, and it doesn't have to be on a weekend, but doing weekend activities. There's so much to do in Winston-Salem. There's so many things just within not only the city itself, but within 30 to 45 minutes from here. We have amazing, amazing things to do. Take some time, go up to Pilot Mountain and visit that area. If you're a hiker, find somewhere to go hike, you know, either at Pilot Mountain, Hanging Rock, or even just one of the greenways around town. You know, look those up on the Greenway maps on the City of Winston-Salem website. Get to, you know, walk around the Arts District downtown. Try a couple different restaurants. Go hang out in Bailey Park in the morning. Get some coffee at Cranky's, or, you know, a cocktail at Fair Witness later on that night. But really start to look at some of the recreational activities. You know, take the kids and go mini bowling up at Roar, or go to Caladium, I'm still not sure how to say that, sorry. Go there, or head out to Greensboro, to the Greensboro Science Center, or go to Wet n Wild Water Park out there. There are so many different things to do. Catch live music at the Coal Pit, but really start to get a full picture of what it's like to live in Winston-Salem, right? Are you gonna live in Clemens and you're gonna commute into Winston-Salem for work or to the grocery store? Or are you gonna live in Kernersville and you need to come into town to do a lot of the things, you know, the weekend activities in the city? All those different things, just start thinking of that and make a plan to do some of those things. People really tend to understand the city better, get to meet more of the people and experience more of the things. You know, when you go out to Quarry Park and you see how beautiful that is, you'll give yourself a chance to either really fall in love with it or really say, are we making the right decision here? But you have to give it, you know, that full scope. If you're buying or selling a house in Winston-Salem or the surrounding area, I'd love to be a real estate resource of choice for you. You can email me directly at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.